lads, give your heart and soul. Run lads, shoot lads, give us all a go. Run lads, shoot lads, you can do it yet. Come on Newport County, oh, bang it in the net.
Hello everybody and welcome to Taff's Word. This one is the aftermath of the James Rowberry sacking. So, in the aftermath, right, first of all I want to call out the idiots who abused him in public. I think that was absolutely atrocious, especially because his family were there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's football, it's not life and death. I mean, I know we got the famous saying from Bill Shankly, but ultimately, you know, over a footballing matter, you shouldn't be abusing his family. You know what? Not abusing his family or abusing him in front of his family. At the end of the day, he's a Newport lad. He genuinely wanted to do well with us. Yes, he's got aspirations, you know, to have a career in management. But you could tell his heart was with us, where we've had managers in the past whose heart weren't with us, but obviously we were a stepping stone in their progression. So I think for James to be treated that way was atrocious. I think people celebrating his sacking need to have a look at themselves as well. End of the day, yeah, you can be glad that the club are making a change. I finally got to the point where I agreed that the club needed a change. You know, I weren't exactly happy to see the back of James Rowberry. I think the guy, I think he's a great guy. I think his footballing knowledge is exceptional. I think he's obviously good with the players because they spoke ever so highly of him. And I got no doubt that he is going to be successful in the game in one way or another. I think it was extremely unfair to shout abuse at him in the ground. That's something I wouldn't do. The self-deprecating chants I didn't join in with. A couple of the lads who hear other teams singing these things, you know, probably sort of romanticise over the chants because, you know, people like them, except for the people who are playing for the clubs who obviously you're taking the mickey out of. Taking the mickey out of yourselves at the end of the day, you know. I've never been a fan of that. But, you know, I just want to thank James for the efforts he put in. And for the good games that we saw, because we saw one of the better brands of football up until the point where our season went off a cliff edge last season. I saw one of the better brands of football that I've ever seen from a Newport County team. I think we were a bit unlucky to lose certain players in the summer. I think certain loan players that we had who are irreplaceable. I think that was a bit. What's the word? Unfortunate, obviously. You know, we've been stung by that in the past. So I think what I'd like is that we did the business for the players who were going to be our players early, and on paper we signed some phenomenal players. I mean, Sam Bowen, who would have seen him starting so badly? Declan Drysdale, on paper, magnificent signing. Who would have seen him starting so badly? I've got no doubt that these players are going to come good eventually. Maybe in the right system they will come good. But like Omar Bogle, he scored some goals for us, but he has had some, you know, poor moments for us at the same time as well. You know, I know there's better to come from him as there is from a lot of the other players who we've signed. You know, injuries haven't exactly helped us. Zanzala, I know, is coming back into things in the, you know, the nearer future. Obviously, Wildig took an injury pretty early on. So yeah, I think there has been a lot of unfortunate circumstance, but at the end of the day, the performances have just not been good enough. The teams have been chopped and changed a bit too often, and that good brand of football that we were playing, we weren't. Teams were figuring out how to play against us. We had to counteract that then and say, right, how do we prevent them from stopping us playing? You've obviously got to do something different. And I don't think we were really trying to do anything different. I mean, there's one thing to set up in a different way with a different formation, but if the style of play is going to be the same, you're not really doing anything different. So I think the times when we were playing three up top, I don't think we were exploiting the space in and around the back end of the opposition's teams as well as we possibly could have. I think there was still too much of an emphasis on defence. We weren't pushing a high enough line. I mean, we've got pacey defenders. You know, Mickey Dimitri, even in his older age, has still got a bit of pace about him. He's still capable of getting back. So I think we could have played a bit of a higher line and maybe put teams to the sword a little bit more. But no, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, there's so many different ways of dissecting how things went. But, you know, all I wanted was to basically say the people who were giving him grief in front of his family need to have a long look at themselves. I think the people who are giving him grief in the ground, there's one thing to say, come on, Rowberry, this is crap, you know, do something about it. Yeah, but to personally have a go at him the way I heard some people shouting at him was just a bit over the top. And then to celebrate somebody with a family losing their job, no. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, we're Newport County, we want to do well, we weren't doing well. Yes, if I was in a position where I was performing in my job as badly, you know, I would be put under the spotlight in the same way and potentially moved on. But ultimately, you're not going to celebrate someone losing their job. If it's the right call, it's the right call. And, you know, you can be glad the club are making a change. But to celebrate someone losing their job, I just think is a bit sick and twisted, especially in the age that we're living in right now. You know, we're getting so many cuts to government funding, but at the same time, the prices of everything are going up, but wages aren't. It's an increasingly difficult world to live in right now. And to cut someone's source of income, especially a nice guy like James, to cut his income or celebrate his income being cut like that, I've no doubt he's going to find himself another job in football relatively soon. But you know, to celebrate is it's quite sick, really. Anyway, this isn't one I wanted to drag out to the usual 12 to 15 minutes. You know, I wanted to make this one a bit more brief, but I wanted to make sure the message came across. Now, Darren Kelly's taking control of the Crawley game. I wish him all the luck in the world, because we need a win. Crawley are doing badly, but they have just got rid of a manager, so they're in a very similar position. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty around today's game. But you know, it ultimately is a game we have to get a win in. You know, usually you'd say, yeah, go away and get a point, that'll be good. I want to see a win. I'm desperate to see a win, and I think all of you are too. So let's hope that we can do it. And then the right call for the next manager. Right, okay. I'm only going to go over this relatively briefly. Our board of directors haven't got the best track record of hiring a good manager, obviously. I mean, James on paper would look like he was going to be a good one, an up-and-coming star. It didn't work out. Flinney was the appointment, you know, the best appointment, but they put him in charge at a point where they didn't really have time to recruit anyone. So it was have a stab at a hometown lad to see what he can do and if he can keep us up, and he did, and you had to give him the job, and he was highly successful on the back. But it wasn't a recruitment from this board. We're talking John Sheridan, who was a hit, but the loyalty weren't there. Warren Feeney didn't work out. Graham Westley, of course, was a train wreck. So this board doesn't have a good track record of recruiting a manager. So this time they got to look at themselves and think, what did we do within our process the last few times, you know, other than Flinney, because they didn't have a process there. They didn't have a recruitment process. It was rewarding him for keeping us up by giving him a job, and he went on to be successful. A full-on recruitment process. How did they do it with Wesley? How did they do it with Feeney? Well, Feeney was a succession job that came on a bit too soon, so I won't go too bad with that. And John Sheridan was a reaction. So their recruitment, mainly their recruitment, was James Rowberry and Graham Westley. That's where they actually did a full-on recruitment, a proper recruitment. So that's 0 success out of 2. Yeah. So within those recruitment processes, what did they do those 2 times that they could not do this time? How can they change it this time to make sure we get the right person? There's a lot of names being thrown around, but if they are going to put some emphasis on this recruitment process, they need to have a look at what they did last time and where they think they can improve that process now, and hopefully we'll get the right guy this time. Hey, third time lucky then, I suppose. When we've really got into the nooks of it there, it's a third time lucky type of thing. So let's see what they can do. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Cheerio for now, and as always, up the county.
Ole, ole,